So what we're going to do is talk through why context beats prompting. I think a lot of people get obsessed with writing the perfect prompt, but if you're really using Claude effectively, you're not prompting at all. So how we can use context to create better prompts, what your weekly workflow will be, so how we can come up with content ideas, how we can write effective hooks, and how we can triage it to end in the entire process, and then how you can actually deploy this for your team. So starting next week, you can have a fully operational system without additional overhead. The first thing that we need to wrap our head around is context, right? What is the context going into the post itself? Because if you just give Claude a basic prompt to say, write a LinkedIn post on a certain topic, it's going to pull from all its generic knowledge of the internet, and it's going to give you a really generic response. And what separates the people who are posting effectively on LinkedIn and the people who are not are the ones who are offering true perspective and true opinion. And that needs to come from the subject matter expert themselves. And so what we need to do is build in a system that not only writes the LinkedIn post, but is actually continuously aggregating that context and that information into the Claude system to create more effective posts. So what the input is your team's belief and voice documented once and reused every week. Asterisks that should be documented every month and reused every week. So we constantly have a new source of input. Again, the advanced version of this will use sales calls and internal calls to actually be that internal, net new input into the system. Then we have the engine, which is going to run through Claude, and it's going to draft your point of view. It's going to draft from your point of view or your team's point of view, not from a blank slate. And then what the output we get is posts that sound exactly like your team, which means they are specific, they're opinionated, and they're on brand and in line with your brand values and mission. We have a few tools, and I'll be linking to a resource pack at the end here. But essentially what we want to understand and what the audit we ran was how blank prompts, performed versus prompts with a belief. And so the more point of view with concrete specifics, the more we've matched your voice, the stronger the hook, and the more ready to publish the post gives this system its life. Because if you are lacking on any of these things, you will never have a team that's effectively posting content. So let's talk about beliefs, hooks, and how we can run this workflow. So on-brand content ships every week when these three things run together. Without one of them, the entire system breaks. First, we need to give Claude a point of view. Claude, by definition, has a little bit of a perspective and a little bit of a personality. And that's when we say we see AI slop. That means that the content that is being produced is truly from Claude's point of view, which I think we all recognize as very generic, basic content at this point. And so we need to create a document of beliefs. Some people call them spiky point of views. We refer to them as beliefs here, similar to content pillars. But we need to document the perspectives that we share as a company and share as an individual to be able to then tailor the content to speak about your market, your customers, and your product effectively. Once we have this, Claude's able to draft from that point of view every time instead of guessing. And this is the fastest way to getting an output from sounding generic to sounding on brand.